Today's Thursday, May 21st, 2026, and it is currently 7:50 p.m. Today I was listening to the Modern Wisdom podcast by Chris Williamson, and he was doing an episode where he basically recapped the last 100 episodes or so and some of his thoughts from those past 100 episodes. And something, or he said a few things actually that I felt really resonated with me, and especially since I've started to post on this channel and reflect a little bit on my day-to-day life. I just wanted to talk about these two things that he said. The first one is that he talks a little bit about self-awareness and how it can be a bit of a double-edged sword. And there's this quote from Hamlet by Shakespeare where he says, um, "Thus conscience does make cowards of us all." And I believe that this quote um, kind of encapsulates the paralysis of thought. And this kind of goes back to the video I did on overthinking, where all the extra information and analysis one does is oftentimes more of a hindrance than a benefit, because you've thought of almost everything possible that could go wrong, and you've felt the emotions that come with all those failures without having actually done anything at all. And so you've both done nothing and felt bad about doing nothing, and so you're just at a net negative overall. And like all that does is dissuade you from doing anything. And I don't know, I just kind of thought that it was a little bit reassuring to hear that this was maybe a bit more of a more common phenomenon than I first thought. And especially since I've seen time and time again how people dive headfirst into new things in their life while I kind of just sit back and analyze and almost paralyze myself into further action. And I think recognizing this will be really good for me to kind of break this bad habit and get into more of an acting state than just a analysis state. Another thing he talked about that really resonated with me was the dark side of monk mode. And if you don't know what monk mode is, it's basically this protocol where you essentially isolate yourself socially and physically as much as possible. And you try to focus on introspection and analyzing yourself, as well as just doing any work you have to do and working on yourself overall. And this was something that was preached very heavily to me in the like post COVID like self improvement area, where I talked about I think 2 videos ago. I talked about how I was getting exposed to the whole like red pill manosphere type thing, and yeah, there was a lot of mention about this monk mode at the time. And the dark side that Chris is talking about specifically is that if you're already someone that's like socially restrained and less outgoing, shutting yourself off from the world is not going to help in that regard. And in fact, it's simply just going to give you a justification for being a loner, basically. And instead of just that being your personality and who you were before, and maybe feeling guilty about it, maybe not beforehand, all it does is kind of make it more honorable and respectable to you, and that can be extremely dangerous. And the reason this resonated with me so much is because I've been hearing about monk mode for years. Like I said, like I was exposed first to the manosphere like in the post-COVID 2020, 2021 era, and I was hearing about it like every other day. And ever since I first heard about it, I was pretty much determined to like lock myself in a room for a few months at a time and just work on myself and get filthy rich doing like I don't know, crypto or trading or whatever. Unfortunately, I was both too young and also too scared to ever commit to something like that for a few months at a time without having to do anything socially. Because looking back at my personality, I was definitely someone that was not very outgoing. I mean, I think growing up with the same group of friends from like first grade to high school kind of made me very comfortable and almost dependent on the people around me. And so when I started entering new schools, I realized that making friends actually kind of took some effort um, and time. And this made me like naturally more selective with the people I chose to surround myself with, leading me to be, generally less outgoing um, compared to the people around me. And I, I kind of, it's kind of sad, or it's kind of almost scary to wonder um, how bad it would have really gotten if pairing this personality um, with a type of monk mode if I had the time and resources to do it, how bad it really would have been for me. And I don't know if I would have been really able to reintegrate back socially if that was the case. I've realized over the past 2 years in university that high school itself was just particularly cruel. Like, once you get out of it, you start to see the real scale of the world and how many people are really out there. Because if you go to a high school that's relatively small, like the one that I did, and you get to know everyone in your class pretty quickly, and let's say you don't find anyone that you really deeply connect with, I mean, it almost feels like you're an outsider, right? It's like everyone gets along except for you. But once you leave that place and you kind of see that the world is actually a lot bigger, and perhaps you're just unlucky with the people that were with you at that time, it really changes your perspective and opens new avenues on social relationships. And even after those few years in high school, it's taken me some time to readjust myself socially and be more open towards people that I'm meeting for the first time, as well as just not being too critical of myself and the people that I'm around, which is maybe something that I'll talk about in another video. Ultimately, like, I don't want to live a life without relationships with people that I care about. I mean, life is a journey, and it can be very lonely at times without having people to stick by you for the long run. Yeah. Thanks for listening. See you next time.